The galaxy had many stories about human space. Every species knew one thing: stay away from the human border. For many years, no alien ship entered that space. The reasons were clear. Every time someone tried, they did not come back. But curiosity can be dangerous. One day, a small ship from the Arcal Dominion flew too close. The Arcal were not known for being smart. They liked to take risks. Their commander, Zarek, wanted to prove that humans were not as dangerous as people said. His ship crossed the line and entered human space far away. On board the HSS Resolute, Captain Laura Bennett sat in her chair. She was looking at reports from other sectors. Her second-in-command, Commander Eric Dawson, walked onto the bridge. With a serious look. "Captain, we have a breach," Eric said. Laura turned to him. "Where?" "Sector 12, small Arcal ship, single vessel." Laura stood up, sound battle alert. "Bring the ship to full readiness." The lights on the bridge turned red. Every crew member moved quickly. Laura watched the large screen as the Arcal ship moved deeper into their space. "Do we know their weapons?" she asked. Eric shook his head. "Light weapons. Not a threat to us." "Then let's stop them fast," Laura said. The Resolute moved quickly through space. Its engines hummed as power levels rose. Weapons locked onto the Arcal ship. Within minutes, the human ship reached firing range. "Fire warning shots." Laura ordered. 2 bright flashes crossed space, passing close to the Arcal ship. But Zarek did not turn back. Instead, he sent a message. "This is Commander Zarek of the Arcal Dominion. We mean no harm. We are here for peaceful observation." Laura narrowed her eyes. "Observation inside our borders. Not acceptable." "What's the order, Captain?" Eric asked. "Disable their engines," Laura said. The gunners on the Resolute fired again. This time, the shots hit the Arcal ship directly. Sparks and metal pieces flew into space. The alien ship stopped moving. "Boarding team to shuttle bay," Laura said. "I want prisoners taken alive." A small team of soldiers, dressed in armored suits, boarded a shuttle. They flew across space and attached at the Arcal ship. Moments later, they returned with the captured crew in the holding cells. Laura stood in front of Zarek. The Arcal commander looked angry, but also afraid. "You had no right to enter our space," Laura said. "I wanted to see for myself," Zarek said. The stories seemed like lies. Laura crossed her arms. "Now you know they are true. You are lucky we showed mercy." Zarek stayed quiet. Laura gave orders for the prisoners to be sent back to their people with one clear message: do not return. Back on the bridge, Eric looked at Laura. "Do you think this will stop others?" Laura shook her head. "It might stop a few, but some will still try. We need to stay ready." The crew of the Resolute went back to their stations. The ship continued its patrol, watching the borders carefully in space. Far beyond human sensors, other alien eyes were already watching, and the news of the Arcal defeat was starting to spread across the galaxy. The news of the Arcal ship's defeat moved fast. On many alien worlds, people sat in fear. On the trade stations, workers talked in low voices. In the Galactic Council chamber, leaders from different species met to discuss what happened. Ambassador Drell Varos from the Cathari Republic sat at his table, listening to the angry voices around him. Drell was tall and had blue skin with dark eyes. He had seen many wars, but he always feared one thing the most: human reaction. "The humans were too aggressive," said a speaker from the Jath coalition. "They used too much force for a small mistake. added a voice from the Varn Alliance. Drell stood and raised his hand. We all know the rules, he said. Human space is off limits. The Arkle ship crossed the line. They knew the risk. Humans do not give second chances when it comes to their borders. Some in the room nodded. Others stayed silent. The fear was clear in their eyes. Back on the HSS Resolute, Captain Laura Bennett sat in her private office. She read the new reports from Central Command. More alien ships were gathering near the human border. They had not crossed yet, but they were watching. Commander Eric Dawson entered the room with a tablet in his hand. More signals from Sector 12, Eric said. We have at least 5 ships sitting just outside the border. Laura sighed. Who are they? Mixed group, Eric answered. Ships from the Varn, Jath, and Oslan forces. Looks like they want to test us. Laura stood up. Put the crew on full alert. Increase patrols. I want every ship near the border to be ready. Eric nodded and left quickly. The crew of the Resolute moved fast. Weapons were checked. Shields were charged. Pilots stood ready in their small fighters. The ship's engineers made sure the engines were at full power. Daniel Price, the communications officer, worked at his station. He listened to the open space channels. Most alien ships stayed silent, but now and then short-coded messages were picked up. They spoke of plans and movements. Captain, Daniel said, I think they're coordinating something. Laura walked over. Keep recording. I want full transcripts. Meanwhile, on one of the alien ships, Commander Rollos from the Jath Coalition spoke to his officers. We need to show humans that they cannot control this much space, Rollos said. We will cross the border in small numbers. If they attack, the Council will act against them. The officers around him looked unsure. But sir, one of them said, what if the stories are true? Rollos smiled. We have more ships. They cannot fight us all. On the human side, Laura met with her team in the main briefing room. Eric showed a map of the sector on the screen. We have confirmation of at least 10 alien ships near the line, he said. Any sign of invasion plans? Laura asked. Not yet, Eric replied. But their formation suggests they are preparing for something. Laura looked at her officers. We will not fire first. But if they cross the line, we respond with full force. No half measures. Every officer in the room nodded. They all knew what was at stake. For the next 2 days, both sides waited. The alien ships stayed close, but did not cross. Human patrol. Ships moved along the border like silent guards. Tension filled the air at the Galactic Council. More meetings took place. Drell Varos stood again. Do not push them, he warned. Every time we test them, we lose ships. The humans will not back down. Some leaders listened. Others ignored him. Then, late on the 3rd day, a small Oslan scout ship moved across the line. It was a clear breach. On the Resolute, alarms went off. Eric rushed to the bridge. Captain, they crossed, he said. Laura stood up. Lock weapons. Target their engines. Disable them quickly. The gunners fired with speed and skill. The Oslan ship took heavy damage in seconds. Before it could retreat, human fighters surrounded it. Laura gave her next order. Board the ship. Take prisoners if possible. The boarding team moved fast. They entered the alien ship and captured the crew within minutes. No human soldier was hurt. The prisoners were taken back to the Resolute. Laura stood outside the holding cells with Eric. 2 ships in 3 weeks, Eric said. This is getting worse. Laura nodded. They're testing our limits. We need to show them we have none. That night, from human space stations to border ships, a single message was sent across all channels. No species enters human space without consequence. The message reached every corner of the galaxy, and many who heard it began to wonder what would happen next. The border of human space was no longer quiet. Every day, more alien ships appeared near the line. They stayed just outside the restricted zone. But everyone knew it was only a matter of time before something big happened. On the HSS Resolute, Captain Laura Bennett stood at the front of the bridge, looking at the large screen. It showed the positions of many alien ships in the nearby sectors. Commander Eric Dawson stood beside her with a serious face. "They're gathering more forces," Eric said. "We count at least 20 ships now. Different species, different classes." Laura nodded. "They're preparing for something large. They want to test us in full force." Daniel Price, the communications officer, turned from his console. "New message from Central Command. Captain Admiral Kate Morgan is leading a fleet to reinforce our sector. Arrival in 12 hours. Laura felt relief, but stayed focused. "Good. Let's hold the line until they arrive." On one of the alien flagships, Commander Rollos met with other leaders from the Varn, Jath, and Oslan groups. They sat around a small table, looking at a large map of human space. "We move at dawn," Rollos said. "We enter in waves. Humans will be forced to respond slowly. They cannot stop us all at once." One of the Oslan captains shook his head. "We have seen what they did to smaller ships. This will not be easy." Rollo slammed his hand on the table. "Enough talk. This is our chance. We show the humans that they cannot scare the whole galaxy." Back on the Resolute, Eric watched the alien fleet movements closely. The enemy ships started shifting positions. It was clear that they were getting ready. "They're forming attack waves," Eric said. Laura gave her orders quickly. "All crew to battle stations. Power up all weapons. Shields to full strength. Fighters, launch and take position around the ship." The Resolute crew moved fast. Every soldier and officer knew their job. Pilots climbed into their fighters and launched into space. Defense teams prepared for boarding actions. The alien fleet started moving. The first wave of ships crossed the line. They came in fast, firing light weapons. "Hold fire until my command." Laura said. The alien ships got closer. Some tried to jam human sensors. Others launched small attack drones. "Fire," Laura ordered. The Resolute and other human border ships opened fire. Heavy rounds tore through the enemy ships. Missiles exploded with bright flashes. Drones were destroyed mid-flight. Human fighters moved through the enemy formation, targeting weak spots. In minutes, 4 alien ships were disabled. 2 more were destroyed completely. Eric looked at the screen. "The second wave is coming. Bigger ships this time." Laura didn't wait. "Call for heavy support. Bring in our long range." Artillery. On the edge of the battle zone, human artillery ships began firing. Massive projectiles crossed space and struck enemy cruisers. The damage was fast and brutal. The second wave lost half its strength before reaching firing range. Still, some alien ships broke through. They targeted the Resolute. Explosions rocked the human ship. Crew members held onto rails and kept working. "Minor hull damage," Eric said. "Shields holding." "Redirect power to forward shields," Laura replied. On one alien ship, Commander Rolos watched the battle with growing fear. His ships were falling one by one. Human tactics were too fast, too smart. The human fighters moved like hunters, never giving the enemy a chance to regroup. "Order a retreat," Rollo said at last. "Pull back before we lose everything." But it was too late. Human ships had already cut off the alien fleet's path. More enemy ships fell under human fire. At that moment, Admiral Kate Morgan's fleet arrived. Dozens of human warships jumped into the sector. The sky filled with new threats for the aliens. Admiral Morgan's voice came over the open channel. "All enemy vessels in human space will surrender or be destroyed. This is your only warning." The remaining alien ships had no choice. Some tried to run, but they were caught. Others powered down and sent surrender signals. On the Resolute, Laura stood with Eric and watched the enemy fleet fall apart. "That's the end of this fight," Eric said. Laura nodded. "For now, but the galaxy will not forget this." After the battle, human ships collected prisoners and wreckage. The border was quiet again, but the message was clear to everyone watching. Humans would not let anyone enter their space without a fight. Across the galaxy, news stations reported the defeat of the alien fleet. People on different worlds saw the images of burning ships and surrendering captains. Fear spread even more. In the Galactic Council chamber, Ambassador Drell Varro stood again. He faced the silent room and spoke in a calm voice. "I warned you," he said. "Do not test the humans. They do not bluff. They do not back down. And now, many of you have learned that lesson the hard way." The other ambassadors had no answer. The fear of humans had grown stronger than ever before. The days after the battle stayed quiet, but everyone knew it was only the calm after the storm. Across the galaxy, leaders from many alien worlds met again. They sat in large rooms and spoke in worried voices. The fear of humans had become real. Every species now had reports of the battle near the human border. They had seen the destroyed ships, the broken fleets, and the captured crews. In the Galactic Council chamber, Ambassador Drell Varro stood at his place. His blue skin looked even paler than normal. He raised his hand to speak. "We must stop sending ships to human space," Drell said. "We are wasting lives. The humans will never back down." Some leaders agreed. Others stayed quiet, but no one spoke in favor of trying again. The room felt cold and tense. On Earth, President Linda Carver sat in her office. She looked at the reports coming in from the fleet. The list of enemy ships destroyed was long. The number of human losses was low, but she still felt heavy in her heart for every soldier who died. A call came through from Admiral Kate Morgan. The screen lit up with the Admiral's face. "We have secured the border," Kate said. "No alien ships remain inside our space." "Good work," the President replied. "But I want the message to be clear. We will not accept any more violations." "Understood," Kate said. "I am sending a full report." On the HSS Resolute, Captain Laura Bennett stood with Commander Eric Dawson in the briefing room. They were reviewing battle data. "The enemy used mixed tactics," Eric said, "but none of them worked. Our defense was too fast and too strong." "And now they know," Laura said. "They know that entering our space is a mistake." Daniel Price entered the room with a new message. "Captain, a transmission is coming from the Galactic Council. It's public. They are making a statement." Laura walked to the bridge. The crew gathered around as the screen showed Ambassador Drell Varro speaking to the galaxy. "To all ships and all species," Drell said, "the Galactic Council advises strict travel warnings near human space. Do not enter without permission. Any future actions against humans will not be supported by the Council. The message ended. Laura and her crew stood silent for a moment. Looks like they finally understand, Eric said. Laura nodded. Let's keep our guard up anyway. Fear makes people unpredictable. Over the next weeks, human ships patrolled the borders with even more care. New sensor arrays were placed on space stations. Fighter squadrons practiced every day. On the alien worlds, news stations showed images of human warships. Military schools began teaching about human tactics. The failed attack became a warning story for young officers in training. In a small room on a distant planet, a young alien cadet asked his teacher a question. Why are humans so dangerous? They have fewer worlds and fewer ships. The teacher, an old Ketheri officer, answered simply, because when they fight with everything they have. They do not care about showing strength. They care about ending the fight fast, and they never forget. Back on the Resolute, Eric walked into Laura's office. We just picked up signals from deep space, he said. Looks like small scout ships from the Varn are doing sensor sweeps near the outer border. They're keeping their distance, but they're watching us. Laura stood up. Send a patrol to shadow them. Make sure they know we see them too. Already done, Eric said with a smile. Laura looked out the window at the stars. We didn't want this reputation, she said quietly. But now that we have it, we must use it to keep the peace. On Earth, President Carver gave a short speech. It was broadcast across human space. We do not seek war, she said, but we will not accept threats. Our space is our home. We protect it with all our strength. The people of Earth and the colonies cheered. On the alien worlds, people listened in silence. In the following days, alien trade routes changed. Charts were updated to show even larger buffer zones around human space. Merchant ships took long paths to avoid the borders. In the Galactic Council, Chamber Drelvaros met with other diplomats in private. We must stop this before it gets worse, one said. Drell shook his head. There is nothing more we can do. The humans warned us. Now the galaxy knows why no species enters human space. And as the days passed, the stars near the human border remained quiet. No new ships crossed the line. No new battles began. The fear had taken root. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson. The humans would not be tested again. Months passed, and the borders of human space stayed quiet. No alien ships entered without permission. Trade routes stayed far away. Human patrols kept watch day and night. The fear of humans had spread to every corner of the galaxy. On the HFY Resolute, Captain Laura Bennett stood in the command center, looking at the large star map. Commander Eric Dawson stood beside her with a new report in his hands. We finished setting up the new sensor grid, Eric said. It covers the entire outer border now. Nothing gets close without us knowing. Laura smiled slightly. Good. I want early warning on anything that moves near us. Daniel Price at the communications console turned around. Captain, we just picked up a long-range signal. Looks like a small merchant ship lost near the edge of our space. They're asking for help. Laura thought for a moment. Are they inside our borders? No, Captain, Daniel replied. They're just outside. Send a patrol to guide them away, Laura said. But stay alert. It could be a trap. A small human patrol ship moved out quickly and made contact with the merchant vessel. The crew of the patrol ship kept their weapons ready, but the merchant ship followed instructions and turned back toward its own space. there was no threat. This time, later that day, Eric walked into Laura's office with another report. "We picked up sensor sweeps from deep space," he said. "Looks like some alien fleets are doing long-range scans of our systems." Laura nodded. "Let them scan. Let them see our defense lines. I want them to remember why they fear us." Far away, on a planet in the Cathari Republic, Ambassador Drell Varos met with his government leaders. They sat around a long table, reviewing data from recent months. "There have been no new attacks," one official said. "No," Drell answered, "because they learned. The humans gave them a lesson that no one will forget." "Do you think humans will attack next?" another asked. Drell shook his head. "Humans only fight when provoked. But if anyone crosses their line again, the galaxy will see something worse than before." On Earth, President Linda Carver stood before a large group of military officers at a special ceremony. Admiral Kate Morgan and other high-ranking leaders were present. "Today we honored the men and women who defended our home," the president said. "Their courage stopped a full invasion. Their actions made sure that no enemy ship remains in our space." The crowd stood and clapped loudly. The officers saluted. The human people felt pride, but also understood the cost of such battles. Back on the Resolute, Laura reviewed new training plans. She wanted her crew ready for any future threat. "Increase boarding drills," she told Eric. "Make sure the fighters train on interception runs daily." "Already started," Eric said with a smile. "The crew knows what's expected." In space, along the border, human satellites floated like silent watchers. Each one carried powerful sensors and weapons. Human warships moved in set patterns, never showing weakness. On distant alien worlds, new cadets learned about human tactics. In classrooms, teachers showed videos of the failed invasion. They spoke of how fast human ships moved and how quickly human forces responded. A young alien student raised a hand in class. "Why did they fight so hard?" "They had less ships than the rest of us," the teacher answered. "Because for humans, defending their home is not a choice. It is a promise." Months turned into a year. Human space stayed untouched. Alien governments made sure to issue new warnings to their ships. Every star map now showed large red zones around human space with clear labels. "Do not enter in the Galactic Council." A new resolution passed. It stated that no species would take action near human borders without full approval from the Council and a direct communication with human leaders. The vote was almost unanimous. Ambassador Drell Varos walked through the council halls. After the vote, another ambassador from the Varn Alliance stopped him. "How long will the humans stay this strong?" the Varn asked. Drell answered, "As long as they need to. As long as we keep testing them." On the Resolute, Laura sat alone for a moment, looking out at the stars. She thought about all the battles, the messages, the losses, and the fear that now protected her people. Eric entered the room quietly. "Captain, all sectors report clear. No new threats." Laura nodded. "Good, but we stay ready, always." The stars outside stayed bright and silent. No unknown ships crossed the line. The message was now clear to every species across the galaxy. Number 1 entered human space, and those who had tried never wanted to again. Asterisk months continued to pass, and the silence near human space remained. On board the HSS Resolute, Captain Laura Bennett kept her crew sharp. Every day started with drills. The soldiers practiced boarding actions. The pilots flew combat patterns. Engineers checked weapons systems again and again. Commander Eric Dawson stood near the main console, watching a new sensor sweep. Another quiet day, he said. Laura walked over. That's when mistakes happen. Keep the patrols running. I want eyes on every sector. Daniel Price, the communications officer, called out from his station. Captain, we just picked up a transmission. It's coming from the outer edge of Sector 9. Laura turned, put it on speaker. A voice spoke, full of static, but clear enough to understand. This is Captain Lyra from the Sariak Free Traders. We are experiencing engine trouble. Requesting permission to enter human space for repairs. Eric looked at Laura. First request like this in months. Laura thought for a moment. Are they telling the truth? Scans show they are low on power, Daniel said. No weapons active. Minimal crew. Laura gave her decision. Allow them entry under escort. Full scan of their ship. If anything looks wrong, we act fast. 2 human patrol ships moved out. They met the small Sariak vessel and guided it toward a human space dock. Engineers and security teams stood ready as the ship docked. Lieutenant Jason Cooper led the boarding team. They scanned every part of the ship and checked all cargo holds. The Sariak crew looked tired and scared. Their engines really were damaged. After repairs, the Sariak captain thanked the humans and left peacefully. Laura stood on the bridge, watching their ship move away. Maybe this will remind others that we are not monsters, Eric said quietly. Laura nodded but stayed focused. We help when we choose, not when we are forced. Far away, on a Jath warship, Commander Rolos sat in a dark room with his officers. They reviewed reports of the Sariak incident. The humans allowed them entry, one officer said. Only under control, Rolos replied. They still show no weakness. Rolos stood and faced the large screen, showing human fleet positions. We made a mistake challenging them. Now the Council is afraid to act. On Earth, President Linda Carver met with her defense team. Admiral Kate Morgan stood at her side. Our borders remain secure, Kate said. But we are seeing more long-range scans from alien worlds. They watch us, but none dare cross the line. The President looked at the map of space. Keep it that way. Double the number of patrol ships near weak sectors. Kate nodded. Yes, Madam President. On the Resolute, Eric brought a new report to Laura. Our listening stations picked up coded messages between Varn and Oslan fleets, he said. Looks like they are planning joint training exercises near their side of the border. Training or preparation? Laura asked. Could be both, Eric said. They want us to see their ships gathering. Laura gave a quick order. Send a message to Fleet Command. Request backup patrols near Sector 11. Within 2 days, 3 more human ships arrived to join the Resolute. The human presence along the border grew stronger. The message was clear. No one would enter unnoticed. Meanwhile, on a neutral trade station far from human space, merchants and travelers shared stories. Some spoke about the battles months ago. Others told stories of human warships moving like shadows in space. A young trader from the Arkle Dominion asked an old cargo captain, "Do you think the humans will attack first next time?" The old captain shook his head. Humans don't strike first, but if someone else does, they end the fight fast. Back on the Resolute, the crew gathered for a short meeting. Laura stood before them. "You've all done your jobs well," she said. "Our borders stay strong because of your hard work. But do not relax. We must stay ready. The galaxy watches us. The crew clapped and returned to their posts. Eric walked beside Laura as they left the room. "Do you think another test will come?" "Soon," he asked. "It always does," Laura replied. "But when it does, we'll be ready." The stars outside stayed peaceful. Human ships moved in silent patterns, watching and waiting. Across the galaxy, no new fleets gathered. No new invasion plans appeared. Fear and respect kept the peace. For now, no species dared to enter human space. The galaxy understood the cost. The lesson stayed clear in every star chart and every training program on alien worlds. Human space remained a place no one wanted to cross.